Appreciate you being with us. My name is John Koppelmeyer, and I'm the President and CEO of Children's Hope Alliance. For those of you who may not be familiar, Children's Hope Alliance is the combination of Bering Springs and Grandfather Home for Children, joining forces in April of 2014. Bering Springs and Grandfather Home were two of our state's most historic child welfare agencies. With over 220 years of combined experience, merging together as one new entity made financial and economic sense. The new entity, Children's Hope Alliance, is able to serve more children and families in need, as well as provide a larger continuum of care to abused, neglected, homeless, and traumatized children and families throughout North Carolina. In fact, just last year we served over 3,600 children and families. We have served children and families from over 77 counties, and it is our number one priority to provide a safe and healing journey for hurting children and families, creating hope now and in the future. We appreciate you coming very much this afternoon, and we want to extend our sincerest thanks for helping support children and families in need throughout North Carolina. I would also like to give special thanks to our foster families for opening their homes and hearts to children in need of extra love and support. That's where real hope and healing happens. We actually have a few foster parents here with us today. You'll hear from one foster parent in just a few minutes, but another pair of foster parents that are here with us this evening, Betty and Floyd Anthony, have fostered 45 children in their lifetime. They have dedicated their lives to helping children have a better life. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. You have touched countless lives throughout the years by opening your hearts and your homes to our children. Thank you. Because of people like you, children are having a second chance of life with a bright future ahead. We also have some children here with us this afternoon, including foster children, adopted children, and young adults who have aged out of our foster care system. One of these teams is Rashid. He's just graduated from high school, lives on his own now, and is working to get into college. With Rashim's past, these accomplishments are no small feat. Rashim, I just want you to know that we are tremendously proud of you. As I was talking to Rashim earlier about the Foster Care Act, his eyes really lit up. He said for a foster child to be able to do normal things, like spend the night at a friend's house or be supported in playing sports, was an absolute game changer. He also wished that those would have been things he would have had in his foster care experience. We're here today to formally thank our state leaders for passing laws to help children, like Rashim and so many others, have a normal childhood despite their abnormal circumstances. We are tremendously blessed to have elected officials and public servants who care so much for children, believe in our mission, and are helping children through the darkest times of their lives. Thank you for being champions of children. In addition to the great folks in our legislators, we also have an outstanding organization called Benchmarks, which is our state association, which is the primary leader of child welfare issues in our state. We're very fortunate to have our leader, Karen McLeod, who is the foremost individual with the foremost experience and knowledge of child welfare in our state. So I'd like to introduce Karen.
9 years ago, John convinced me to come over into this job, and I haven't regretted a day that I've walked in. It's been such an honor to work with the Children's Hope Alliance and approximately 90 other agencies that are committed to our children, families, and adults. And within Benchmarks, we have a number of very high-quality agencies that are working together to drive policies, procedures, and to work with legislators on making changes legislatively to improve the outcomes for the people that we serve. And just to note, some of those folks, legislators that we worked with, I originally started working with in 2003 and 2004 on something that was called, and I have to read this because it's so long, a Blue Ribbon Study Commission on Child Abuse and Neglect, Foster Care, and Adoption. And one of those individuals was a brand new representative. He turned out to be quite intelligent and extremely likable by the name of Tim Moore. And another person who was on that committee was a lovely woman named Mrs. Tamara Berenberg, who was a foster mom and was one of the community reps. So most of you know these folks now as House Speaker Moore and Senator Berenberg, and that was my beginning with them in 2003 and 2004. Shifting now to 2015, it was through the tenacious work of Representative Sarah Stevens, who is over here. And for those of you who don't know her, when she first came in, and she doesn't know this, I never told her, but I remember we were sitting in a children's committee, and she got fired up on something, and we didn't know who she was, and she just went off. And I turned to the person next to me, and I said, she's a lawyer, she understands family law, we need this woman, she's going to be a champion. And it turned out she was. So through the work of Representative Sarah Stevens in the House and Senator Berenger in the Senate, under the leadership and support of the House Speaker, Tim Moore, as well as Representative Dollar, and also the President Pro Tem, Phil Berger, that these two amazing women put forward the passage this year of a number of bills. And I just want to touch on a couple that I think are of particular interest here today. One is Senate Bill 423, which is the Foster Care Family Act. A few things that this bill does, which are pretty amazing for the people we serve, is it creates more opportunities for a normal family environment. And you know, when you are pulled out of your home and you're placed in somebody else's home and you're not allowed to do normal things, like go on a play date, or go to Disney World with your foster family, or to play sports, or to be in the band, to go from being out of your home into a foreign home and not being able to be normal, to do normal things kids do, it just adds so much to what these children are already carrying as their burden. And this bill lifts that. It helps reduce the stigma for those children by being able to engage in normal behaviors. And it certainly, we believe, will improve outcomes for our children in care. Also need to note House Bill 669, which is Juvenile Law Changes Abuse, Neglect, Dependency. Representative Sarah Stevens really did a heavy lift and then looked to Senator Berenger for some support on this bill as well. But this bill is amazing in that it really focuses efforts on finding family members for children who are removed from their homes, and there's a tremendous emphasis on that in this bill. It also limits the time that children can be in limbo in foster care waiting for court decisions, which for many of our children has been a terrible, terrible burden on them. It's kept them in care for quite some time, not knowing what was going to happen to them, or keeping them from being adopted. And finally, it really stresses children reaching permanency with families quickly. These two bills together are transformational, and I know that if you're not into this kind of thing, these just sound like two bills, but this is huge, huge changes for our entire system. And the last piece I want to note is some current budget work that's currently going on. The House and the Senate each come up with their version of the budget, and then they have to come up with a compromise budget. In each of those budgets, one of the things that was asked was through Senate Bill 424, Fostering Success, there was a request to extend the foster care age. And we asked that it be raised to 19. And the House did raise it to 19. The Senate said, you know what, we don't think 19 is enough. We think it should be 21. And that's where they're headed, and they're looking to the House to come back and raise it. Very exciting. So we're at 19 now. Make sure you call your senators and ask them to put it to 21. So it's truly been an amazing year, and it's been such an honor to work with our legislators and also to work with these amazing agencies that do the work on the ground every day and foster families that are changing people's lives. And now I'd like to introduce Celeste Dominguez, who serves as the Chief Business Relations Officer for Children's Hope Alliance.
So, John and Karen, actually, if you guys can come back up, because I'm going to ask you to help with the awards. And I just want to echo what John has said about our foster parents and the great work that they do and how important it is what you do for children every single day. We absolutely could not do what we do as an agency without you doing what you do as foster parents. So thank you, and thank you for being able to be here. I also want to take just a minute to say thank you again to Karen and the Benchmark staff who have been able to come. These folks work tirelessly on behalf of children and also on behalf of providers. So again, we could not do what we do without them and their support. So thank you guys, and thank you for doing that. So there are a few elected officials here that we wanted to take a minute to give extra special thanks and attention to. And so if you guys could sort of move towards the front, I'm going to call your name, and if you could come up, we have a special gift for you. This is a plaque that was designed with artwork that was drawn by one of our foster children, and she's actually here tonight. So stand up. So, without further ado, Senator Tamara Beringer. A couple more, guys. Sorry, I have to hang out for a minute. Senator Beringer, thank you for what you did. Senator Beringer's partner in all of this great work with children, as Karen told you, is Representative Stevens, and we are thrilled to have Representative Sarah Stevens here tonight with us. Also, we would like to present you with an award if you'll come up.
I think we need a list of this one.
Oh,
Okay, we better get off there.
These two ladies and the work that they have done within the legislature as champions for children is absolutely amazing. I cannot tell you in the 25 years I have been doing this work that I have never seen anything this amazing happen. And so, absolutely heartfelt thank you for working tirelessly for children.
And if we can say just one thing, this is only the beginning.
Love it. Yes. Do we have a representative from Nelson Beller's office that might be here? Oh, Speaker Moore is here. Speaker Moore, please come up.
Oh, there he is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, come out this way just a little bit. Sorry.
So is this mine or Nelson's? All
Sure.
right.
Would you like to say anything?
I'll just say I appreciate the good work you all do. This is I worked on legislation when I was a freshman member. Karen can tell you that back many years ago, I actually still practice family law, sort of. But I used to practice a lot, appear in court a lot where there were child abuse, child neglect cases. I don't do any of that kind of work anymore, but I've been there on the ground, seen the work that social workers, GALs, and all the other folks do to try to help children out when they aren't being treated very well at home. But certainly appreciate the good work that's there. Appreciate the work of these ladies this year. Good legislation, it's needed. Been needed for quite a while. Was glad to see that pass the House. But honored to have that you all would take time out of your schedules to thank us. And anytime I can ever be of service, please let me know. Thank you.
Well, without Speaker Moore keeping this legislation on the agenda at the forefront of everyone's attention, this would not have moved the way that it did. So great thanks to him for his efforts and his willingness to do that for children and families. We did also want to acknowledge, even though they were not able to attend, Representative Dollar and Senate Pro Tem Senator Phillips-Berger.
You have someone standing for you. Yes, Senator.
Wonderful. Please come up on behalf of Senator Berger.
This man's a gladiator. He is a gladiator. He's your Senator Tucker.
Can we take your picture in his stead? Thank you. I really appreciate you coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you, foster parents. I tell you, I have a space in my office in the corner that's got a tent and a bed in it. It's where she camps out. We have been through for 5 years now, all the wars. And then Tamara came along in 2012, and Sarah and all the help. We want to do that. For those of you who don't know my background, I lost my parents 3 months apart when I was 15 and bounced around the aunts and uncles and everybody in the family. We didn't have any. They were kind of my foster parents. So when we worked through this legislation, them in the courtroom having the experience and me personally knowing what it's like to have adults making decisions for you when you're a teenager and knowing what this legislation is going to do for young people moving forward. It was my pleasure and the efforts of Karen and Senator Behringer, and we're going to get the House to go along with it because Sarah's there to raise the age to 21. So on behalf of all the children in North Carolina and the folks you work with, I'm glad to receive this award for Senator Berger because he helped us get it done. Thank you.
Yes, y'all, please come up if you'd like to say something. We'd also like you to take a group picture of you, and I'll just one more minute after this.
I'll speak on it briefly, but I think it's important for you folks to know that just as Senator Tucker, I have a personal story too. I am a tax and corporate attorney by trade and a professor in Chapel Hill, but my husband and I, Brent and I, were foster parents, therapeutic foster parents with Methodist Home for Children for 10 years, beginning 20 years ago. He was supposed to be here tonight, but I guess he's lost. I'm not sure. But that experience, after 10 years of that experience, and to hear all the years and all the children that you have had and all of you back there, I just want you to know that it's just overwhelming to receive an award for doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason, and that's what we're all here about. And none of us could do this without y'all. And 10 years ago, when we stopped being foster parents, my husband and I decided that we would watch for an opportunity to be able to serve. And so it's the greatest honor of my life and so humbling for me to be here seeing y'all do what you do. So thank you. My office is open. Our offices are open. We're just regular people trying to make the world a little better place. So thank you. And again, I think my experience is not as personal as Senator Behringer's. I grew up in a very intact family with 5 girls and 2 boys, and Mom is here and she's still sane. But having that love and having that safety net and having that opportunity to grow into what we need to be, it was very shocking for me to find out that foster children can't do these things. You know, as I looked around the room while we're in session, foster children couldn't come and be pages in the legislature because nobody could consent for them. To me, it's just astounding that they have no ability to live a normal life, and that's so unfair. And as I said, and genuinely mean, as we started delving into this, there's so much that we can do to make this system work better. And this is a good start, but it's not the end. So thank you.
So we are thrilled that Representative Dollar has been able to come. If you'll come on up. Being a champion for children and supporting the legislation that we have shared with you, Representative Dollar has worked specifically on behalf of Children's Hope Alliance with our video surveillance legislation and helping us get that through. We're not all the way there, but we are well on our way to getting this fully passed. And it goes a long way to making sure that we have a very strong video system that supports the safety of the children that have to come out of homes and live in a group home environment, and it really helps us add to their experience there by making sure that nothing happens and that we have this opportunity. So very, very grateful to him for being able to be our champion for that specific issue as well as these others.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, just really like. Would you like something?
Oh, politician, I Let me just first say that I'm certainly honored, humbled and honored to receive this, and particularly humbled to be in this esteemed company here. And I say that really with all sincerity. As I came in and Senator Derringer was finishing up, but Senator Derringer and Senator Stevens, one of the things that and if I'm repeating something, I apologize, but one of the things that I think when this session is over, when it is finally gets over, it will be at some point, this session won't be known for will be the work in foster care. I think that will come out of this as, at the end of the day, as having been very significant for this session, and I really do my hats off to the leadership and the hard work that's been done on that issue. It's really amazing, so I do think that's an issue where we're going to get to agreement on the budget. We may have problems with some other areas, but that's one that I'm pretty confident about. And of course, I always enjoy working with Senator Tucker on a whole range of health issues and a few other things as well. We're trying to work on some other things here shortly, I think, with some folks. So it is certainly a pleasure. The bill that's being referenced is 747, and I had a chance to talk to one of the senators today about that bill. So we're hopeful that before the end of the day that the electronic surveillance bill will move, and we'll be able to get that finished up this session as well. So we know, for all of us, we know the hard work that you do, serving your clients, serving your patients, serving your families, and we just can't thank you enough for being on the front lines and for providing leadership to all of your organizations. It's really what makes North Carolina work, and it's really what gives, I think, a lot of us satisfaction when we know we can be strong partners with you and make a difference in the lives of these children and their families. So again, thank you so much, and hope to continue to merit in some way the award today. Thank you again.
So if y'all will be patient with just 1 minute, we need a couple more photos, and we're going to head that way to get y'all as a group. Is that okay? Go ahead and do it then. Okay, so as a special treat, I want to introduce you all to a very special speaker that we have tonight. Her name is Carrie Levis. Just 2 weeks ago, Carrie and her husband finalized the adoption of their son, Riley, and are currently awaiting the official paperwork for Riley's biological brother, Skylar. Carrie, if you'll come up and share your story.
I apologize for the shaky voice, but hi, my name is Carrie Levis, and my husband Jamie and I started as foster parents through Children's Hope Alliance, and I wanted to take a few minutes to share our journey with you so far and to tell you how thankful we are for this place. Our road to parenthood didn't happen like we had planned. We couldn't get pregnant after months of trying to have a baby on our own. Our families tried to convince us to do fertility treatments, but we knew that if we intended to have a child on our own, then we would. So we knew God had a bigger plan. One thing you learn about me is I'm big on signs, and throughout this journey, I've had lots of signs. I was watching a Home for the Holidays series about foster care and adoption a few years ago, and it tugged on my heart in a way that I had never felt before. I think that was my first sign. After coming up empty and not being able to conceive, we couldn't go another Christmas with an empty house. It just didn't feel right. We live right down the road from the Barium Springs campus of Children's Hope Alliance, and we looked into foster care with the hopes to later adopt. We connected with the staff at Children's Hope Alliance, and they welcomed us with open arms. We then started our training to become licensed foster parents. We knew our hearts were open to any age, any race, and any child with any handicaps. After we finished our training, a 7-year-old girl named Callie came to live with us. While she was with us, a social worker from the Department of Social Services had contacted us about a 6-year-old boy. At the time, we wanted to devote our sole attention to getting Callie the help she needed before we added a second child into our home. Callie was with us for 6 months before DSS reunified the family after extensive counseling. It was extremely hard to see Callie go. It's hard to break barriers so they feel safe and cared for. It's hard getting them to open up, or better yet, opening yourself up. Opening your life and home up to these children, only to have the possibility of them leaving and breaking your heart. But the joy, the giggles, the hugs, and the genuine affection make the hard times worth it. After Callie left, we went out to dinner one night when I got my second sign. I opened my fortune cookie that read, "A short stranger will soon enter your life with blessings to share." Not long after that, we received a photo from the same social worker of the same little boy that had contacted us about earlier. The same little boy that needed a home before. What are the chances? That was my third sign. The first time we met Riley, he got off the bus and hid from us. But it didn't take him too long to peek around the corner and finally warm up. What I remember most from that day is when we were leaving. I remember pulling out of the driveway, looking back and seeing him standing on the porch by himself, just looking at us as we drove away. At that point, I knew. Our visits got longer, and eventually he would bring more and more stuff to our house on each visit. He would frequently tell us that he wanted to stay forever, and we wanted that too. He had both of our hearts. As Riley spends more time with us, parts of his story come out, and we deal with them as they come. Just as many of the children here today, Riley has been on one heck of a journey. He has 6 siblings, and he is one of the youngest. There was no home structure whatsoever. His dad has never been in the picture, and his mom's rights were terminated. She abused drugs and would leave the children without supervision for days at a time, and his older siblings would do what they could to act as a parent. Although I can't go into further detail of the abuse he suffered, I can tell you that no child should ever have to endure the hurt and the pain that he has felt. When he first came to our home, he had nightmares where he would wake up and be in the corner of his bedroom crying, and he suppressed his feelings. With the help of Children's Hope Alliance, we're working through that. But now he laughs, he hugs us, he and Jamie wrestle on the floor and have tickle wars. He is a total jokester, wide open and all boy. And I'm very excited to share that last Wednesday we got our adoption papers in the mail, and it's official. Riley is our son. And if that isn't wonderful enough, during the same week, we transitioned Riley's biological brother, Shyler, hiding in the corner back there, into our home, and have already started the paperwork for his adoption. The boys cannot be more excited about being reunited under the same roof most of the time, but this time with people who love and care for them like they've never had before. This is the year we've been waiting for our entire lives. We'll officially be parents to not 1, but 2 boys that we can't imagine our lives without. And this Christmas, our home won't be empty. It will be full of love, laughter, time, and gifts with our boys. One of the many things I've been impressed by with this organization is they really took the time to give us as much information as they could about Riley and Shyler. They wanted to make sure that not only were they a good fit for us, but that we were a good fit for them. The scariest part of this journey is the unknown. Not knowing how Riley and Shyler's past traumas will come out later. Not knowing if they're going to say, "You're not my parents," one day. But when I think about it, biological parents don't know what's going to happen next either. Children's Hope Alliance makes the unknown less scary. Because of them, we will have access to resources and continuous support from their staff. They walk us through situations. For us, it's exciting to know that we can change the pattern of their family. We can break the cycle of abuse by exposing them to a life they may not have had. We can mold them and guide them to become productive members of society with morals and values. In fact, Riley wants to be a police officer one day so he can help keep people safe. And Mr. Schuyler wants to be a Marine so he can help protect those in the world who need it the most. These kids are our future. We need to invest now so we don't pay for it later, but more importantly, so that they don't have to pay for it later. Yes, our journey to become parents has been different than most, but we took a leap of faith and we're building our wings on the way down. We love Riley and Schuyler, and our journey is just beginning. So thank you for being a champion to children throughout North Carolina. Because of you, lives are being transformed. Hope is being restored, and futures are possible for these children. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Carrie, for sharing your story. You and Jamie are definitely an inspiration to all of us at our agency, everyone who is a foster parent, and also to all our children. Thank you so much. I also want to thank all our foster parents. It's a tremendous service and a mission that all of them do. And especially I also want to thank our legislators who create the policy for us to do our work. We thank you very much, and we appreciate everyone being here today. So thank you.